This is the side plank with rotation progression series. What we're going to do for the first progression is get in a 90-90 position on our side, meaning that we have a 90-degree bend, a right angle at both our knees and our hips. We're going to start with the elbow on the ground underneath our shoulder, and we're going to have our forearm flat against the ground, and we're going to have a pretty straight line here. So that way we can feel the outer bone of the palm against the ground and then that pinky finger against the ground right there. Now, Trevor's going to go up into a side plank, keeping his knees on the ground or his bottom knee on the ground and his top knee stacked over his bottom knee. And he needs to have a little bit of a curve right here, a little bit of a rainbow shape, if you will. Now, as he does that, he's going to be putting even pressure through his forearm from his elbow all the way through this outer bone of his palm through his pinky. And he should feel those downside side abs engage pretty significantly. Now, Trevor is going to add that rotation element to it by maintaining a push through the ground. So it's almost like he's reaching through the ground, but then he's going to turn his sternum a little bit towards that downside. Just a bit. Now he's going to feel more side abs on the downside engage, and he's going to breathe in through his nose, out through his mouth. It should be a silent inhale, but a full exhale. So if we're talking cadence, we're thinking maybe like a 5-ish second exhale and a 3-ish second silent inhale. You should feel some expansion happening in his left side back as he goes through this, or whatever side is down. The last progression, or the third, is to then extend both legs. You want a slight stagger, about like this. You don't want them too wide. That's going to cause some problems. You want them about, let's show them a good distance, right about there, maybe a half-foot length or so between the toe and the heel. Now let's go up into that side plank. Everything stays the same. Make sure now with this that your pelvis is pretty square ahead of you. You don't want to roll too far back or too far forward. The turn should be coming from the upper back and the sternum. That's the intention I want you to have. And then same breathing cadence as the other two. The most common mistake here, regardless of whatever progression you're doing, is that they're not going to maintain what we call protraction or a reach of the arm away from the body. So let's show them what that should look like, Trevor, as he goes up. So notice how he has a little bit of a slight curvature right here in the upper back. That is ideal because he's pushing through the floor and that scapula is moving away from the spine a little bit. Now, as he turns into it with the sternum, the upper back and the chest area, he's not going to overdo it, but right there he maintains that congruency of the scapula staying on the rib cage. What we don't want to happen is for him to not reach through the floor, that sags, and then as he turns, it's going to feel really crappy on the shoulder, and the shoulder is going to kind of like wing off of the rib cage, and we do not want that to happen. So have the intention of keeping pressure through the floor evenly through that forearm, and then just subtly turning into it like that. The other common mistake is people are not going to have that elbow stacked underneath the shoulder when they're in the upright position. So this is what it should look like. What we don't want is for the elbow to be too far away like that or too close, and that is going to hurt the shoulder. So we want to make sure that we're stacked directly on top of it. The last common mistake, and this applies more so when that top leg is extended in progressions number 2 and 3, is that as we go up into that side plank, we're not elongating that right leg away from us enough, and we end up just crunching these side abs right here. So make sure you are maintaining that rainbow shape right here, and it might help to have the intention to reach that right leg away from you a little bit. You might feel some outside hip on the right engage, and that's totally okay.